For anyone that is struggling with the separation of the father of your children or whatever situation you may be in, this video is for you. So as a little bit of background, I was a teen mom. I got pregnant when I was 18 years old. 2 or 3 months after high school, I got pregnant. And I got pregnant with my very first boyfriend. He was literally like my first everything. I don't want to dive into much about him just because I made a lot of peace with that situation. He's in my past and I just grown a lot since then. But it doesn't go to show all of the shit that I went through, like that I put him through, that he put me through, and his kids. And so my first relationship, the father of my children, he was my very first relationship. I was like a late bloomer, I guess you could say. I didn't have my very first kiss until I was a senior in high school, literally with the father of my kids. The father of my kids was my very first boyfriend, my very first time with everything. And it's not that I didn't want to date or that I had trouble dating and it wasn't because I didn't want to be loyal to somebody or that I have loyalty issues. I am a very loyal person. It's just that I have a hard time committing to one person until it feels right. And when it feels right, I'm like locked down. And obviously, clearly, with my fiance now. But back then when I was young, like the world was my oyster, like I just had a lot of fun. I had a lot of talking stages, a lot of situationships. And I mean, unfortunately, I got into one where it was very, very toxic, which was the father of my children. I was 18 years old when I got pregnant. It was 2 or 3 months after high school. And then I had my son. And then a few months later, I got pregnant with my daughter. And I love my kids and I will never, ever speak like negatively about that or as if I didn't wish I had them. But I will say it was a really, really big struggle. And I did a lot of things that I regret. And I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of to stay in the relationship with the father of my children, to have a family for my kids. And honestly, I look back at that shit now and I'm like, you were a fool. Like, genuinely, I look back and I'm like, what was it about that man that kept me under a spell? But unfortunately, that's just what I went through. And I wouldn't change it because of the fact that I got my 2 kids out of that relationship, and then also and grew me into the woman that I am today. And that's when I realized, if you do not love yourself, no one else will. And that's what I got out of that breakup. And I have been watching a lot of reality TV and a lot of Love Island and stuff like that. And I felt compelled to talk about it because of a situation that I somewhat resonate with, which is the situation with Taylor Frankie Paul. And I try to not watch that show to like get into it too much. But y'all, I'm in it deep and I'm like finishing up and like binging the whole entire show and I want to like rewatch it. But Taylor Frankie Paul, I love her. She has such a like level of vulnerability, but a lot of women struggle with what she's going through. I've struggled with that and struggled with the toxic relationship. And aside from like her being a very big social media influencer and being in the social media eye, aside from that woman, when they talked about her dating and like, oh, we want Taylor to date and all this stuff, that woman needed to heal. That's what the fuck she needs to do. Like, it's not about, oh, we want a good guy for Taylor. We want a guy that's going to heal her. Taylor is literally a representation of single women who are in toxic relationships, women who don't know how to love themselves, and women who if you do not heal, you're not going to move forward. And if you do not move forward and if you do not choose yourself, you are going to get yourself into very, very sticky situations. Clearly, the world has seen it for themselves. And I love the vulnerability, show the world what she's going through, because I myself, like, I am just embarrassed as fuck to like even sit down and talk about anything that I did with the father of my children. And so I do appreciate that vulnerability. But watching that show, it really did bring me back, like, to the fact that, man, if I did not heal, I would not have gotten to this point of where I am with the father of my children, with my healing process, and with my now fiance and who's going to be my husband, and even as a mother and as a woman, and it's so unfortunate that a lot of us women need to go through such horrific bullshit to heal. And I hate to admit this, but sometimes it would have been prevented if we had just loved ourselves more, if we put ourselves first. But like, I was single for almost 8 years before I got with my fiance, and it's just, and within those 8 years I went through literally hell and a lot of life before I got to my partner. And I feel like if I didn't go through that, I would not be the best partner to him. I would not be the best mother to my children. Could I have saved myself from a world of hurt? Yes, if I had just chosen myself. And even with my children, like if I had just set aside my feelings and not made it about myself, my relationship with the father of my children would have looked much different, would have looked much better. But I can't turn back time. I can't take away the things that I did. And the only thing I can do at this point is take accountability. And I feel like when people don't take accountability or take the responsibility for the actions and the hurt that they inflicted upon people because of the hurt that they were going through themselves, it prolongs your healing. It prolongs your progression to becoming a better person. And it all stems from loving yourself. You cannot be the best mother to your children if you do not love yourself or care about yourself. You cannot be the best girlfriend, fiance, wife, partner to your significant other without loving yourself. And I really am a firm believer in the fact that if I did not heal, I would not have been with my partner who I'm with today. And I've learned so much, and a lot of me does kind of regret it. Like, do I regret the time wasted? Of course, because if I had just healed myself first, oh my gosh, like life just would look so much more different. And now that I'm almost 30, it's crazy. Honestly, it really hit when I turned 26, because that was when, I don't know, I kind of feel like really it's true. Like when your frontal lobe is completely done developing, like it's different. And then also being a mom, it adds another layer, and so everything just became a full circle moment. And had I only loved myself more, life would have looked so much different. I am so appreciative of the process that I've gone through, but I wish I would have seen it for myself first, which is why I want to sit down and give advice where I can, and for anyone, because when I was really hurting and had so much healing to do, and how I looked like externally was what I was going through internally. So I always will reference that, because I just going back to that time, oh my gosh, if I had just chosen myself, and when going back to that time, I would literally look up videos like, how do I heal? How do I get over the father of my children? How do I get over my breakup? How do I become unstuck? And honestly, I'm gonna still record a lot of videos when it comes to that kind of topic, but it all stems from you. You need to love you more than you love anybody else. Of course, is there an exception with your children? Of course. But you have to put yourself at the center of a lot of things, because it wasn't until I focused on myself that I became a better person, a better mother, a better partner. My parents immigrated here, and so although they're very Americanized, that immigrant mentality was definitely rooted in them. In a woman is to dedicate herself to her children and her husband and in her household. As much as I do agree with that, obviously, it's to an extent. If you fully give yourself away, you have nothing left for yourself. I looked unrecognizable when I did that, when I believed in that narrative. And once I shifted the narrative and I focused on myself, because it wasn't for me, it was for my children. I was not the best woman, the best mother, the best daughter. It wasn't until I healed myself, that was when everything else fell into place. Motherhood, marriage, life. I'm not saying I know it all. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. No one is. But we can practice being better people, better versions of ourselves each and every single day if you start with yourself, because as soon as you put yourself at the front, things fall into place. As soon as I focused on me, for me, because I knew that I wasn't being the best person, motherhood fell into place. My fiance fell into place. Life fell into place. Money, work, my work ethic all started to fall into place when I focused primarily on me. And again, if you do not love yourself, no one else will. People can give you the most love. And I'm sure it's not even just about us. People that we love, family members, friends, I'm sure you have seen it where you love your family member, your friend so much, but they don't love themselves. They let men disrespect them, and then eventually there's just no boundaries there, so everyone disrespects them. Like, we've all seen it. And we always tell ourselves, like, damn, like, if my friend just loved herself more, if she had more respect for herself, if she just had more boundaries, she would be the best person. She'd have a better partner. She'd have better for her. We just want better for her. But at the end of the day, we could always want more for the people that we love. But if they do not want more for themselves, they're never going to become of it. But I was literally that same person. Like, I remember my mom before she passed away, like, she just did everything for me because she wanted everything for me. But did I want that for myself? Clearly not, like, because I was struggling with my identity and with who I was, that I couldn't have given a fuck about anything around me. And it got to that point. And so I share this to just, for anyone struggling, you need to love yourself. You have to heal yourself before anything else. Life is going to be daunting. Life is going to be hard to live if you don't love yourself. Literally, can you imagine waking up and then just hating who you are? Yeah, I wouldn't want to get out of bed. I wouldn't want to go to work. I wouldn't want to show up for my partner. I wouldn't want to show up for my kids because I could barely show up for myself. But you have to do it anyways, right? Because you need to make a living. You need to make money. You need to eat. Your kids need to eat. You have a household to pay for. It sucks so much more having to live up to those obligations when you do not love yourself. Romanticize your life. Romanticize you. You only live once. And so what is life if you are not living? Genuinely, like, there is nothing, and we only have one life. Romanticize the life that you live, because there is so much of life to romanticize, to love. And just because it's not what it ideally looks like, make it then. Make it happen for yourself. Like, it wasn't until I did something for me that shit started to show up for me. And so you need to care about yourself enough for you to have a life to live. And if you don't show up for yourself, no one else will. No one's going to want to show up for you. And even when people do, you're going to feel like imposter syndrome or feel like you're not worthy enough of people showing up for you, loving you, caring for you. And then they're just going to give up on you too, because you've already given up on yourself. I literally would watch videos just like this, wondering when this would happen for me. And it did. And it can happen for you too, especially if you're a single mom, or if you're a newly divorced parent, or if you are a single parent. It's gonna happen for you. Not even just referring to myself, I've seen it happen for other people as well. So have hope and love yourself. Be gentle with yourself and be forgiving and love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, no one will. And I've said that so many times, but can you imagine how lonely a life is if you don't feel loved? You don't need external validation or love from everybody else around you. You can have all the love in the world, but if you don't feel like you deserve it, it's not going to be as genuine when you can't even accept it yourself. So please take this as your sign to love yourself first. Because if you don't, no one else will. No one's going to respect you, and you're not going to respect yourself. So that concludes today's video. I really have just been wanting to sit down and record. I could dead ass like talk to myself for hours. And so I'm like, you know what? And honestly, my TikTok has been doing well, which is at Herselfish podcast. But I've been working on long form content just like this, and just sitting down and recording, pressing record, and then uploading it, editing it to YouTube. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I genuinely hope that you got something out of this video. Again, if you're struggling, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here if you need anyone to reach out to. And that concludes today's video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.